The final chapter in a 16-year murder mystery when the man accused of killing Tara Grinstead goes on trial May 2nd.
Ryan Duke faces the maximum penalty of life in prison without parole. He's charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, burglary, and concealing a body. As Ashlyn Webb reports, state prosecutors and Duke's defense lawyers have been gearing up for the trial for 5 years.
Irwin County Superior Court expects the trial to last a month or more due to the amount of evidence and testimony from both the prosecution and the defense. The trial will likely attract the same amount of national attention as Tara Grinstead's disappearance in 2005.
There'll be people watching not only here in Georgia and locally, but across the nation.
Pete Skandalakis, executive director of the Georgia Prosecuting Attorneys Council, says that's one reason the court summoned 800 people as possible jurors.
When you have a case of this magnitude and this type of publicity in a small area, you want to make sure that you get a jury that's unbiased and hasn't made up his or her mind before he sits or she sits and listens to all the evidence.
Evidence dating back 16 years to October 22nd, 2005, when the Ocilla teacher and beauty queen vanished. Since then, hundreds of interviews and bits of evidence, now part of the largest case file in the history of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. That's created quite the witness list. The state says they'll call nearly 90 witnesses, most of them GBI investigators. Skandalakis says the number of credible experts will be one of the biggest challenges for the defense.
My experience with the GBIs, they're some of the best investigators in the nation. And so they're quite professional in their job. They're very detailed in their documentation.
However, while time allowed the GBI to build their case, Skandalakis says it could also become the state's biggest hurdle.
Witnesses don't often recall what they told police, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. And so you go through this process of refreshing their memory. So, obviously the longer it takes to get a case to trial, the harder it becomes.
But maybe the two most critical pieces of evidence came straight from the accused killer. The first, DNA on a glove found at Grinstead's home.
The DNA on the glove is a match to Ryan.
The second, Ryan Duke's own confession.
He admitted that he was the person responsible.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says Duke confessed spontaneously and unsolicited to agents. However, Duke and his lawyers argue he falsely confessed while under the influence of drugs, and that he actually did not kill Grinstead.
The jury will have to consider whether or not the statement was freely and voluntarily given. Did a person understand what he or she was talking about? Did they understand the questions? Were there logical responses to a question that was asked? So, again, the jury will listen to all that and they'll weigh that evidence.
Lindsay Forshee, Superior Court Administrator for the Tifton Judicial Circuit, says the trial could last 4 to 6 weeks. 2 weeks alone will be dedicated to selecting a jury beginning May 2nd. Back to you.
Thank you, Ashton. We'll have coverage throughout Duke's trial on 13WMAZ.com.
And you can find all of our coverage from the past 16 years of case history right now on 13WMAZ Watch page on your Amazon or Roku streaming player.